Hey everybody, Sean from Media Assault here, and it's time once again for another movie review. This time out, I will be taking a look at the 2016 version of Ghostbusters. Of course, this is the much anticipated or much dreaded reboot or remake of the 1984 comedy of the same name, which starred Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, Ernie Hudson, Sigourney Weaver, Annie Potts, Rick Moranis. It's a very, I don't want to say it's hallowed ground, but it's a movie that a lot of people have very fond memories of. And understandably, a lot of people were concerned when a remake was announced. A lot of people thought it would have been a better idea to have the original cast of Ghostbusters make like a Ghostbusters 3 and hand over the role of the Ghostbusters to four women and have them take over, at least pass the baton in some sort of way. But this is an actual reboot, so in some form or fashion, the original movie never took place. 30 years ago, there was no organization called Ghostbusters. But if you remember, and maybe you don't, but if you saw the original trailer of this version of Ghostbusters, it refers to 30 years ago, a group of people or men or whatever it said, I don't remember. It just said a team saved New York from ghosts or something to the effect. It refers back to the original Ghostbusters. And if you're going to reboot a franchise, it's probably not a great idea to remind people that, hey, this is a remake of a movie that came 32 years before. Because then what's the point? Just introduce it, play it like it's a new film, introduce it to a new audience, a new generation. You may do a wink and a nod to, people who know the first film. But what Ghostbusters does that really threw me off and really made me not like it, although there are other reasons, is the fact that this movie consistently rolls out references or cameos or actual stuff from the 1984 Ghostbusters and then tries to pass it off as its own, but continuously references things that we are familiar with from the original comedy. And I don't know if I'm making that as clear as I could, but constantly, no matter what the situation is, if it is a situation that was encountered in the original 1984 film and it's encountered in the new film, they have to make a reference back to the original, sometimes dwelling on it for way too long. Whether it is the finding of the headquarters of the Ghostbusters or the designing of the logo or how they're going to advertise, all of these make reference to the original film. Then, of course, you've got cameos from most of the people who are still alive from the original film. The only one who didn't participate was Rick Moranis, and I believe it's because he's retired and he didn't want to be a part of it. But you've got Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Sigourney Weaver, Annie Potts, Ernie Hudson. They all show up as cameos. And Harold Ramis, who of course unfortunately passed away in 2014, he even appears in a kind of a humorous fashion. I thought that was kind of novel and a nice trick. And if they would have left the references at maybe just that, it would have been cool. But constantly you're beaten over the head with references to the original movie. They dumb down the plot. That also kind of irked me. And you don't have the same sort of demonic Zool Keymaster type scenario that you had in the first film. Here we've got somebody who wants to unleash the spiritual, the paranormal, the ghosts onto the city of New York because people were mean to him. Seriously, that's the plot. That's his motivation. People were mean to him, so he has to unleash this supernatural terror on New York. That's his motivation, and that's supposed to be the plot of a summer tentpole comedy in 2016. It just doesn't hold up. More or less, the assembling of the Ghostbusters follows very similar paths to the original movie. That the movie didn't lose me until about the halfway point when it just started to. You just started to see that it couldn't come up with an original idea on its own. It just had to constantly refer to the first movie. I did like the special effects. I did see it in 3D. Special effects are obviously CGI. They're very digital looking. So at no time did I think I was looking at something from the spiritual, spiritual world or anything like that. It was obviously CGI, but it is done very creatively, very well done. The 3D was, even though this movie was converted into 3D and not made for 3D, it looks very good. It's very effective. One of the things that surprised me that was different from the original film is that it is a little bit scarier, at least in the jump scare department. So that was kind of interesting. I mean, it was obviously, I don't know that you would want to take a small child to see this movie, whether it was scary or not, because it is rated PG-13, but be aware that it is a comedy, but it does have some scares in it if you're a parent and you're worried about that kind of thing. I'm not, but I want to pass it along just in case somebody cares. Yeah, I really don't recommend this film at all. If I was going to rate it, I think I would give it a 4 out of 10. The things that I liked about it, which were the effects and the times that I laughed, as few and far between as they were. The things that I don't like about it specifically, other than the references to the original film that are repeated just over and over again, I do like Kate McKinnon in this film. I do think she's funny. Overall, though, I think that the rest of the cast is, by and large, wasted. Kristen Wiig just seems uncomfortable. Melissa McCarthy is actually the straight man most of the time, or straight woman, whatever, straight person, in most of the scenes, and she doesn't have a lot of laughs. Leslie Jones plays sort of a stereotypical Hollywood black person, where she sort of mugs at the camera and reacts and is loud, and I thought we passed that point in the 1930s. I don't know. I really was disappointed by this film. I did not have high hopes going in, so I thought I would be more surprised and more pleasantly surprised than I was. But unfortunately, Ghostbusters 2016 is not worth seeing. So save your money, maybe rent it if you're really curious, but all I can really say is pop in a Blu-ray of the 1984 classic and enjoy yourself, because it's a hell of a lot better than this. So there you go. That's my review of the 2016 version of Ghostbusters. Thanks again for watching. As always, feel free to rate, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you, and take it easy.